How much work is actually enough for you or your child to score a band 6 in the HSC for standard mathematics? I'm going to show you two case studies of students I've taught, one called Umair and one called Will, and I'm showing you exactly what we did to get them to their respective marks. So, for those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Andrew Malcolm. I failed math in year 11, and in year 12, I topped New South Wales for standard maths. And ever since then, for the last 5 years, I've helped people with my company called ACM Tuition. We've helped hundreds of students score a band 6 in the HSC for standard maths. So, with that out of the way, let me tell you about Umair first, or Uma. Right, Uma was the first student I ever had when I started teaching. And I have to tell you, I was shockingly bad. Right, like I was coming in, I was like teaching the work, like I had no idea how to teach and stuff. It was bad. But anyway, let me reflect on him. Right, I remember the first lesson I had then. I'm like, all right, we're gonna get off to a good start. I'm gonna give him so much homework, right, that he comes in and he just understands everything. So it was a 2-hour session. I used to work for a tutoring company. And I spent 20 minutes of that session as they were just doing independent work, just writing down different questions from the different textbooks. So I'll say, do this question from this textbook. And then I really like this one, and I really like this one, and I really like this one. And at the end of all that, I said, all right, cool. End of lesson. Here's the homework that I've prepared for you. So I gave him a full list of the homework that needed to be done. I said, look, get it done by next lesson, next week. He's like, sure. He left and went about his week. I messaged him midweek saying, yo, how's the work going here? Is it all right? Is it good? He's like, yeah, it's fine. I'll get it all done. Comes to the lesson day. I'm like, oh, he's gonna have finished all the work that I've given him, right? And he came in and I'm like, yo, how'd the work go? And he's like, oh, sorry, I left my math book at home. Right? I knew he hadn't done it, right? I tested him on stuff. He had no idea what to do, right? And then I later pushed him a bit and he's like, yeah, I didn't do anything. Right? And I'm like, bro, why didn't you do anything? I got annoyed, I was inexperienced. I was like, how do I react in this situation? And then I kept doing it, kept giving him more work, each session. And then look, about midway through the semester, I looked at how much work he'd given. I was giving him. But I came to this conclusion that I was spending 30 minutes doing 25% of the work I gave him. So really, I gave him 2 hours worth of work to do each week. Right? And that's an insane amount, right? And he ended up not doing it. And, in his tests, he got it back and he got what? I don't even know, probably 70 something or 60 something. He improved, but, to what extent, right? Next student I want to show you is Will. So Will came to me when I had a lot more experience. He was in year 11. And he was stressed at the start of the year, had a lot of pressure on him from his parents, but he wanted to score a band 6. And guess how much homework I gave Will? Right. Week 1, I gave him absolutely zero homework for 5 weeks, right? And you'll never guess what he got, right? 5 weeks, I didn't give him any homework. His test was in week 8. After week 5, I said, hey, Will, I don't care when you get them done, but I need you to get this paper, and this paper done, marked and reviewed, and we'll review them in the lessons, so forth, and get an understanding of where he's at. All right. Will did everything I said to a T, right? He didn't do any homework I gave him, but he did his school homework on a regular basis, talking about 20 minutes a day, maybe less. And then he did the tests, he did the papers and everything, he got them back, and guess what he got? 100%. Right? So, Uma, who I gave 2 hours of homework and, barely did any of that. Will, I gave absolutely zero homework and he got 100%, right? See the difference? So what is the difference? Why did Will do so much better? And it has to do with 2 things. The first one being that homework, this is really important. Homework does not prepare you for the exam. Homework prepares you for the exam preparation period. So if you're doing all this work hoping that you're going to get a band 6 in your exam, keep dreaming, because you're just preparing to make the exam preparation phase, that 2 weeks before your exam phase, easy to revise. All right. Second thing is this thing called the 80-20 rule. And it's what I say that 20% of your marks come from actually doing the paper. 80% come from reviewing the paper. So for UMA, and a lot of students that come into my program, right, we see like how much work you actually doing, right? And all their time, because they get so much homework from their previous tutor or their school, they spend all their time doing this 20% of work, right? Not marking it and not even reviewing it. And they leave out this 80% of reviewing. So we need to, what I was saying with Will is, look, let's not worry about doing extra work and loading up that volume. That's not even preparing us for the test, just the exam pre-phase, right? And let's just focus on making sure that we are reviewing our work to the max so we can get this 80% here. And an analogy I love to use is, if you're shooting free throws for basketball, which one do you think is going to be better? Shooting 100 free throws and not even seeing where you're going wrong, not even paying attention, just shooting them, maybe talking to your mate. Or shooting 10 free throws, but having a full analysis after each shot of how you went. Which one? The 100 or the 10 that are analyzed by professionals? You get feedback, they tell you what to do after. Who do you think is going to improve more? Right. If you're like me, it's going to be the person who does less but actually analyzes where they go wrong. And so that's what we need to focus on with math, right? Instead of saying the question shouldn't be how much work should I do, or how much work should my tutor be setting each day. It's really, am I actually reviewing the work, or am I just getting a whole bunch of work and doing nothing with it, right? So that's the big thing. And the big thing with this is like, it's not so much what you do, it's not so much how much you do, it's what you do in that time, right? And I've got specific past papers that I gave Will in that time to score 100%. Literally like breaking down every single, like it's the same stuff I use in my HSC to score 100% on my tests and come first in New South Wales, right? If you can see how beneficial that would be, right? I can just send that straight to you, right? So if you genuinely see like how much of a difference, like just knowing how to study and studying the right things could be, right? Just send me a DM on Instagram about this video specifically, and then I'll send them across to you, right? I may ask you a few questions just to make sure I can get you the right ones, right? So let me know.